NECC Collegiate Overwatch. We're in week 1 of our spring 22 season and our final match of the night. Jeff Ed Corbett coming back at you. And coming up, we're headed to the Challengers Division. We've got Valpo Shield taking on Western Colorado University.
Yeah, it's an interesting matchup here. Obviously, it's still early days in season, so there's not a ton that we can judge, right, in terms of these teams. But we know at least on the side of Valpo Shield, they have brought in a new main tank. Wistful has stepped up. I think a couple of members have also shifted off WCU Crimson as well. But on the Valpo side, they brought in Wistful. He's a sophomore, a younger tank. Going to be interesting to see how it slots in because honestly, every time you bring in a new tank player, that requires a lot of teamwork, right? To build up around what is essentially the rock of the team.
Yes, sir. And I'm anxious to see, is this the one that kind of pushes them over the edge? Valpo Shield had a pretty good record in fall at 6-2. But on the other side, WCU Crimson were 3-5 in fall, looking to make some improvements. And they've promoted John Flo, who is not starting, it doesn't look like today, but have made a few changes of their own. But looks like the starting 6 is pretty much the same. You do have Mr. Mango there at the bottom, who has been kind of promoted from their Navigators team last second to fill in this slot. So we'll see if that can be the difference maker or perhaps even a point of contention for them, having pull up from their JV team.
Slightly older lineup too, Bull Skunk, which I think does help to a certain extent, right? You would expect a little bit more discipline from a team that's primarily seniors and juniors, but let's talk about maps really quick. It's the same pool as you might have seen in our other matches today, being that this is sort of the tail end, Charlie, of our matches here on NECC. We're going to start off on the control map of Busan, always an interesting one. Those stages very diverse, and then we'll make our way over to the hybrid map of Blizzard World, a little bit of out there pick in a lot of ways. Our third map is obviously the escort of Dorado, and then assuming that we need to go farther, which I haven't so far seen today, we'll head over to Hollywood, Nepal, and Route 66 as the potential tiebreaker.
Yep, fixed map pool this season. So if you're familiar with our fall season, it was loser pick before, but we've gone to more of a fixed rotation so we can get more maps in. Everybody can get a chance to play the variety of the 20 maps, I believe, that are available for, well, no, we'll take those straight out. So 17 maps, since there is no assault in spring as well. Another big change coming into the spring 22 season from fall. But let's zoom in a little bit, talking about Busan, and certainly a very diverse set of sub maps available in Busan, which leads to diverse compositions.
It does lead to diverse compositions, and really each of these sites demand something a little bit different. You think of this town center that we're seeing right now, a lot more open space, a lot more room for maneuverability, and a couple of high grounds that you can take advantage of, which favors kind of more, widespread ball-oriented compositions. But you go over to this map, which is mecha based itself, and it favors a bit of a brawl. There are some tight corridors and some tight spaces, and engagements can get real close real fast. And at least one of our teams here is showing us something akin to that. Valpo Shield here picking up a Rhine Hog as their front line. That's quite interesting. Meanwhile, on the other side, though, staying with that more disparate composition, you've got Wistful coming in on the Winston, and then oh, I'm sorry. Apparently these teams are backwards. I didn't pick up on it, but Valpo Shield coming in with Wistful on the Winston and Sea Dog there on the Hammond. And then, a more kind of diverse comp to engage here.
A quick note before we get into this, you may see the Ana player there from Valpo Shield. That is Ball Z is what we're going to be calling him here. So if you hear us talk about Ball Z, it is that Ana player with the Chinese characters is their name correct? Reinhardt composition claiming a lot of space right out of the gate. Good hook onto the Winston, but not able to finish them off. The heals coming out of Ball Z on point and working to build up that early nano. Eventually taken down, but Valpo Shield striking right back as they managed to trade 4 for 2 in this opening fight.
A very kind of brutal starting engagement there, but Valpo Shield coming up the better of it. Obviously, because they have the mobility-based heroes here really in the form of that starting 3 you see, Wistful, Sea Dog, and Famputi, they can kind of choose the tenor of these engagements. You'll have to, see a little bit slower pace coming out from WCU Crimson, and that means that they're not really cautious in protecting their supports and protecting someone like Zero. They're just going to get overwhelmed here, so that's something they really have to keep in mind.
Trying to use that immortality field to protect him at the moment, but the cooldown's out early. Sea Dog has faced the brunt of a pair of shotguns. A little warning. Oh, but Loose Goose cannot be denied or cannot be protected from the Deadeye coming out on the other side. 1-for-1 trades, and it's Valpo Shield going in deep, using a Primal Rage and a Nano Boost to boot to help solidify their second victory on Mecha Base.
Well, I mean, first of all, you never want to see. Yeah, it was a really good primal, but you don't really want to see the nano boosted primal, right? That's usually considered a bit poor form. But I don't know if they needed to use either of those ults really there at the tail end. But it was, it was obviously decisive in ending the engagement. But you have put yourself down significantly in terms of the ult bank here.
Oh, and Famputi gets taken out early. Blade in the pocket. Hog keeping everybody at bay while Wistful is taken care of, and WCU Crimson strike back as they emerge with the ferocity out of that choke, and now are storming onto the point.
Good play there from Nona, by the way, to play around that amplification matrix so well. And in general, how do WCU Crimson come out of that smelling like roses? Because they managed to maintain 3 of their ults in their ult bank, which is a decisive number if used correctly.
Oh, Famputi manages to get 1 before getting stunned. Immortality Field is now gone, and Zero faces the sharp end of that katana. Now Loose Goose in a bunch of trouble, eats some headshots, and that's a triple kill for Famputi.
Was perhaps not the decisive ults that I was looking for right there, but certainly Famputi will be more than happy to take that one to the bank and add that to his highlight reel. Snuck in the backside, again, that mobility coming in so clutch here for Valpo Shield, and just went to work. You have 4 ults on the board. If you're WCU Crimson, you have to get value out of them. This is your last chance.
Oh, and it's a big bio nade. That's going to slow him down. The Shatter doesn't really connect, and Wistful already has another Primal online. Going in deep. Managed to get 4 with the first one, but gets pinned out of the second one. No real value coming from Wistful and that big ultimate. Up to the DPS to carry this home. Dirty Wolf lands a beautiful headshot. Nobody can touch the point. Valpo Shield take a decisive 128 victory on Mecha Base.
I don't want to be super harsh because that's not what we're about here at the NECC, but it's worth pointing out the WCU Crimson finished with 3 ults in the bank unused, which is, when you're in last fight territory, you're trying to get into that choke point. That's just criminal, right? Like, I don't think it really matters if you're not even going to get anything. Death Blossom, right? Like, you're not thinking you're going to get anything, and just throw the nano in there. You never know when you're in those dire straits. Wolfskunk, what are you going to do? Like, you gotta throw whatever you can at the wall and make sure that it sticks and try and battle your way out. So a bit of a misplay there from Crimson, but hopefully something they can learn from as we come in with 2 compositions based around Orisa. One with the double shield, more poke oriented there, and on the other side, the pulled pork, which we still tend to see every once in a while.
I mean, that is a classic throwback. I also love that name. It's got a few names, but Full Pork is just one of the best composition nicknames that we have in all of Overwatch. Oh, and there it is, showing up. Z-Dog does get a good chunk of healing, not finished off by Nano's key hook. Ooh, big rock. Okay, I thought that interrupted the take a breather for a moment, but no, we see those health bars go right back up, and we see WCU claiming first control. Still a fight about to break out here, but WCU will do good to just build percentage while this fight is taking place, and a good kill onto the Sigma. It's going to force Valpo back a little bit.
Yeah, they kind of lose a key part of their composition because you're really relying on that Sigma to be sort of the aggressor here. The problem is, though, this allows this pull pork composition to really dig in. Unfortunately, Famputi getting caught there kind of in this sort of open poke phase is just going to slow this down as well, because you're not going to want to re-engage without the Hanzo and his ult in play, so they're going to have to wait for him to get back into the mix before they start to push forward.
But they will have Coalescence and Nano Boost to work with. Great engagement ultimates. It is the Dragons Unleashed to start things off. A little bit of Divide and Conquer coming through. Sound Barrier, Whole Hog, Ant Matrix all unleashed from the defense. And don't get a whole lot out of it. It's back and forth trades as the support ults are thrown in. But Valpo Shield are missing their tanks. And I'm going to make life a little bit difficult if they can't clean this up quickly. No, that's back to spawn they go. 54% on the board to the other side.
Good play right there. I just want to highlight Nona with the heads up push onto the Moira who was coalescing right there. As someone who played a lot of Moira and once got seriously embarrassed getting hooked out of Coalescence during a tryout way back in the old console gaming league days when I was like a gold, that's such a threat for a Moira player, and it totally handicapped the tail end of that Coalescence. So really good heads up play there from the off tank, doing exactly what you need.
now Supercharger out for WCU Crimson, which is going to help build up the rest of their ultimates. But the Lucio goes down, and Valpo Shield are able to get a little room to work. They've managed to claim the drum area, big Bionade on a Nano, then they can't heal. And finally, Valpo Shield move in. With these recent compositions, much easier to hold the objective than to take it.
Oh, 100%, right? Because we think about Orisa certainly capable of kind of moving forward, almost Phalanx style, but much more of an immobile defender, rather constrained to the nature of their shield. Also, you got to be really careful right there because you're threading the needle. Look at those Hanzo arrows just shooting down. And they're going to have to choose a direction here and really stick with it. A little bit of hesitation on WCU Crimson. This is easy. Just win one fight. That's all you have to do. You have the ult advantage. This should be well within your capability. Just be confident and take an engagement that you can win.
They're going to go directly into Drum with the whole hog. It's going to be the Nano Boost from Seedon, keep them alive, and a great kinetic grasp. That put Wistful up to 900 total health. Now the Sound Barrier out from WCU to try to push in. Dirty Wolf has looped all the way around behind him, swapping over to the Soldier 76 and picked up one. Another great Bionade as Baldy continues to land these in, and Nono is under some pressure. Does manage to back up, but forced all the way back, and Valpo Shield building up percentage the entire time.
Yeah, it's unfortunate because now Valpo Shield is rising up to the top of the old game. And you'll see this Wistful is just going to push forward right here and try and collect a few more kills. Good call for the aggression right there. But I don't know if I would have used the beatdown bongo, the damage amplifier, whatever you want to call it, right at the start of that. I would have held on to it for just a little bit longer because you could have stacked it with some of the other things you have on deck. That's perfectly okay. You're holding them up tight and close, but you can't lose this fight.
Oh, this could be nasty. They're going to get slammed down into it. Immortality Field is gone. And Mejar Xion falls under the weight of all. Look at all those assists in there. Discord, Gravitic Flux, the Halt, the Dragons. Teamwork from Valpo Shield.
That's teamwork. Everybody getting involved right there. Getting a piece of the pie. And 90% now. This is last fight territory. If they win this, they can snowball over the point. That's all they have to do. But they only have one ult to do it. And now they don't even have that.
Luscos is too far behind. Who manages to... Okay, Nono Nano swap to the ball and does get the touch in. Lusco speeding the rest of the team along. But the overtime wick is whittling down. Wow, that was close. Anyway, you slice it, though. Valpo Shield are coming out on top. They're managing to get the kills as WCU were pressured to make a move and run into all this damage. Just too many resources left for Valpo Shield. Closing out with a celebratory transcendence. They take map 1 and a 1-0 lead in the series.
Do we start with, I guess, the good news for WCU Crimson or the bad news? I guess the good news.
Bad news. Start with the bad news. Start with the bad news, and then you can kind of round it out with the good news.
You just lost Busan. That's the bad news, which is going to give, that's going to give Valpo Shield a bit of a leg up here. The other bad news is that you've kind of really allowed your sort of flanks to be super compromised. Something that we saw a lot happen there with Soldier 76 just go marathon around the backside and start shooting in to the enemy composition, and that was a problem. Not that he was getting a ton of kills, just a constant source of pressure from the backside. Combine that with some lackadaisical kind of uncoordinated ult usage, and you have a recipe for disaster. I think the good news here, though, Bullskunk, is that they can definitely win this. I think this is well within winnable territory. Just watching the flow, especially of that last Busan map, I don't think the skill difference is that big between these two teams. I think it's mostly kind of a coordination communication difference that we're seeing right now for WCU Crimson.
I mean, they built Sanctuary, up to 99%.
Exactly.
Before Valpo Shield was able to wrestle it away. I mean, they were one fight win from taking that second sub map and sending us over to downtown. But in the end, I mean, the Orisa comps, again, just too hard to break on that point, particularly from Valpo, where they had the double shield, utilizing that Sigma in that composition. And they stand tall, but I agree. It's still anybody's fight here. Still early in this series.
The thing is, they could have broken it. They had an opportunity. They were pushing down the left side of the map into Drum Junior, the small drum, whatever we want to say it was. And
Drum
they
Junior,
had
I
the
like that.
ults. Yeah, I like Drum Junior as well. And Drum Senior is just over the other side of the road. But they were pushing in there, and they had a good opportunity to break that. They had the ults that they needed, and they had the pressure to go through the shield. They just didn't time the ults right. They let off with the whole hog, which I guess wasn't bad in theory, but it just got eight, right? Immediately the Sigma stepped forward. They needed
Yep.
something else in there. If they could have staggered that a little bit better or committed their ults in a bit of a different fashion, I think they easily could have broken that defense. And that was the golden opportunity. And once that slipped away, we kind of got into this difficult situation where a very good read from Valpo Shield to push up and get aggressive just really prevented them from ever kind of regrouping as a serious threat.
And I think about the difference between, you see good teams to great teams, and good
Mhm.
teams will react to the mistakes of their opponent and punish mistakes that they see from their opponent. Great teams will force those mistakes, will create those opportunities to have those windows of those openings to use those kind of ultimates. And so maybe, I mean, just a little adjustment. If you get that before you drop whole hog, you're just a little more patient and you force those
Exactly.
cooldowns like that one out earlier, then drop the whole hog. That's a different fight. That is an entirely different storyline that we're talking about right now.
Very true. And that's one of the kind of just challenges of Overwatch has always been one of the biggest parts of this game is that micromanagement versus the overall kind of macro chaos that we see. All these flashing lights, big bodies running everywhere. There's a Brazilian dude on a wall just zooming by. Like
Particle
you got
effects
to keep track of
everywhere.
all that. Yeah, there's things all over the place, particle effects everywhere. Exactly. You got to keep track of all of that, but you need a great team will micromanage things, right? They will know exactly when they need to do something to force something out of their opponents. Like you said, eat the Sigma boost early. I don't know how you do it, but force him to use it, and then you come in with the
Yep.
whole hog or the ult, and it works wonders. So it's a learning process, and I think these are good opportunities to learn.
Well, we are headed into Blizzard World for map number 2. So a different
Oh,
type,
Blizzard World.
maybe some teams just control is not their bag, not their strong suit. Do better on more of the hybrid and escort type maps. Once again, no assault in the pool whatsoever here for Spring 22. So I had to just eliminate that one from the brain mid sentence. But a chance for WCU Crimson to just get right back into this thing. It's a new season for them. They struggled in fall. But they had a 3-1 preseason. A good start coming into the spring season. So I want to see them step up here on Blizzard World. I'm anxious to see what compositions they choose to bring out.
Yeah, it's a map that maybe will benefit Crimson a little bit because it just forces more of a structure upon you than a lot of these Koth maps do, right? Because the line between attacker and defender is not obviously delineated. When you're on a Koth map, you go somewhere like Blizzard World, it's very obvious, right? You are clearly the defender, you are clearly the attacker, and you can build around that. And some teams thrive with that kind of added structure. So that's
Yep.
something that we might be seeing here. Looks like we're hitting a little bit of a technical hiccup, so we won't quite go.
Yep, we do have a small tech pause, so we're gonna go to just a quick intermission. Go get some, go water, go hydrate, but don't go far. When we come back, Blizzard World, we'll see you in a moment. Appreciate your patience. Looks like we scared off all the goblins, and we're about ready to get into map number 2. They like to poke their nasty heads up seemingly every broadcast. You know, it just happens. They want to get involved. They want to get their messy fingers in there, put some ghosts in the machines. But anyway, I digress. The point at hand: Blizzard World coming up next. WCU Crimson looking to come back from an 0-1 deficit in the series.
Yeah, and this might be, we were talking about it a bit during our little technical timeout. This might be a good map for them to do it. I mean, you were saying once they got set on the defense there on Busan, they did look pretty good. They looked relatively confident, and obviously, the lock got picked eventually. But this map offers you a lot of room, right, to kind of build and defense up and learn to work with it. The interesting thing for me today is all these games I've casted have been 3-0, and I was sort of surprised. I really wanted to see one of these end up with at least a win. And as we take a look there at the surprisingly detailed tourist map of Blizzard World, which unfortunately does not exist in real life, we will get a chance to see whether or not WCU Crimson can kind of pick up a W here and force this to a 3-1, or I'm sorry, and force this to a 1-1 situation.
Yeah, can you imagine if this was a real thing? I would not ride that roller coaster, though, Corbeck. I am not a fan of heights. Anyway, we're up coming out, substituting N here for Fan Pody, bringing out the Pharah immediately to try to break open this high ground defense that consists of a Sigma and a Roadhog as well alongside that Pharah to try to dislodge the Orisa from up top. WCU Crimson starting off on this defense early, going ahead and rotating back around to the point. Don't want to give up any casualties to try to keep that high ground. Doing a good job of keeping Wistful at bay and doing a good job of picking off Dirty Wolf. 5v5 on this objective. Favor has now been tilted. Sea-Dog landing a beautiful hook from across the way. Gets slept. I'm sure there's an anti to follow. No. The anti is from the other side. It is Ball Z landing the big Bionade into the pack and whittling down this defense.
Oh man, that's a rough start to this. I mean, Zero does get the kill at the tail end, but that's far too little too late. Bruv's performance there, nothing short of dominant, right? Just a constant source of damage from above. A really good hook there by Sea-Dog to complement their teammates' performance as well, because it just annihilated the main counter that they had, which was Mr. Mango. They're going to have to change things up here, and that's not how you want to start that either. Titan lucky to escape with their life.
And Zero going over to the Reaper. Now the barrage is unleashed from up high. That's going to find a pair of kills there for Bruv. What a substitution. Perhaps part of the plan to bring in this far, and it is paying dividends.
Completely has caught them off guard. They don't seem to have a good answer for it. And look at how much real estate they're getting here on point number 2. All because Bruv got super aggressive right there and just started to push off. Now they've got this good sniper spot here for Wolf to go to work in the mid-range. That's exactly what they need. They're going to throw a Sigma shield up there. That's not really going to help them very much, but the thought counts a lot of the time. It's a little high. Unfortunately, though, Sea-Dog killing their natural prey of a Reaper, now going to town with the whole hog as well. That's brutal.
Oh, and Nona clearly had run out of defense matrix, just opts to fly out of there, kind of abandoned Titan a little bit. And there's the payload. Some nice little hearts from Nona. Just standing around waiting for the inevitable death. Eventually, Dirty Wolf will grant them their release.
Could have kept fighting there, but whatever.
Yeah.
Nor there. Could have. Maybe would have, should have, but we'll continue on with what we see, which is basically just this team, Valpo Shield, just steamrolling here. Mr. Mango dying. The WCU Crimson squad is just completely discombobulated right now. They need to take a beat, they need to regroup, and they need to kill exactly like that. You bring down Sea-Dog, and now you start to push together as a group. Remember, you got to play as a team, and I feel like they haven't really been doing that. They've been moving as a team, they haven't been fighting as one.
Beautiful sleep. That was amazing. Do get the Nano in on a Titan, but it doesn't last long. Nano was antied, got hit with the Bio Nade, and could not pursue with the Nano Reinhardt. My goodness. Nano out on the other side. Valpo Shield have just taken full advantage of that mistake.
Oh, Nona is just getting bullied with those sleeps, and here comes the rest of the team from Valpo Shield, and it looks like Blizzard World is just a Blizzard nightmare here for this WCU Crimson side. They're going to throw in this Gravitic Flux at the tail end as well, because why not? And a desperate touch there from Zero is not enough to keep him in this fight.
Ant Matrix is out, but the barrage is over the top. And it was just monstrous. Exactly what Valpo Shield needed. Bruv, making a huge impact coming in on map 2.
It ended. It ended how it began.
It did indeed.
With rockets.
I just want to throw out an apology between 2 nanos being thrown and then Nona. I completely butchered. I went all Mork and Mindy with that. I was nano on the. Anyway, that was my tongue absolutely just did a 360 inside of my mouth, and I was just tripping over it. So apologies, friends. That was wow.
Words, man. They'll
Words.
Get you.
Yeah.
Get you. The pen is mightier than the sword. They say that.
I've heard that. I have heard that.
Yeah. Guy who said that never tried to fight somebody with a sword using a pen.
I don't think that's the point of
no, it's
that
not.
quip, but
very literal sense.
That's a very
you
literal
don't see
sense.
any of the Overwatch characters running around out there with a pen, so let's just put that one in there. At least one of them has a sword. But
hey, Overwatch 2, man. Overwatch 2. They're gonna come out and just stab you with a pen. Like that's just.
Watch.
Have you seen John Wick? I don't know. That dude did some awesome stuff with a pencil. I'm just saying. All right.
Yeah.
All right. I've steered us off the rails enough. Please, get us that big brain analysis. Please bring me back on the rails.
Exactly. It was a rough defense from WCU Crimson. It was one of those sort of squad broken moments where they just got shattered and they never regrouped. And credit to Valpo Shield, just constantly keeping the pressure on there, never ever giving them the opportunity to really consider what was happening. A lot of credit to Bruv on the Pharah, who's just pounding them the entire time, but they never brought a counter for Bruv either, which was a critical part. And ooh, he nearly lost a life right there.
That Bruv now on the Hanzo. High ground positioning once again, as that is quickly forced off. Good rotation from WCU Crimson, knowing they couldn't just let Bruv and the rest of Valpo Shield sit up here and rain down damage. Now, what are you going to do? What is your next move, WCU? You have a lot of options from this position. Drop down low, go through Mega, go all the way behind them. Looks like they're just going to take the full frontal approach here.
They knew where Anna was, and Anna's separated. They're all dying now, so I'll continue with this little bit of analysis. They knew where Anna was, and they knew that Anna was separated right there. What they should have done, they have Lucio. That's a speed boost. Hit the Lucio speed boost, rotate down the stairs, come around the backside, catch the Ana off guard, kill the Ana, then start pushing forward into the rest of the team. Unfortunately, they just kind of dithered up there on the high ground, and as a result, the firepower gap of Valpo Shields, just unrelenting firepower, ultimately overwhelmed.
And I couldn't help but notice a couple of the players kind of poke their heads out. They're looking to peek these angles, and while the shield was recharging, and Bruv was just landing those headshots.
And he's got ults now as well. I mean, look at the ult differential for the defenders heavily in their favor, which means that the team that's going to come up here is about to get shellacked. Yep, double dragons. There it is.
That's going to be nasty. Oh, the immortality field does keep them alive through. Look at the health bars in the top left corner of your screen. Slowly starting to come back up, but Zero does not receive the benefits of those healings. Too little, too late, and it's a disadvantage already for Western Colorado University. They're still going to try to pursue this. A little bit of DM is enough for Mejarshion to get that kill onto Sea Dog. And even the odds up a little bit. In fact, even take a bit of an advantage because Zaro's going to come back with that sprint, with the tack visor. Dirty Wolf tried to unleash a Deadeye from that corner. Valpo Shield still kind of hold him at bay, but already one tick picked up. Make it 2 for WCU.
Backvisor! Zaro, come on! What are you holding on to it for?
You got an amp matrix there!
There we go. No, still hasn't used it. It doesn't mature with age. Just get it out there and get some kills. Like, I mean, they're going to win this. I think they're going to win this anyway here, Bullskunk, but they could have won it a lot easier. Ooh, I don't know. A last-minute roll in there from Dirty Wolf. Is it enough? It is not.
It was quite the one-man effort from Dirty Wolf, but indeed. It might slow down the push, though. It doesn't mean that WCU can't get as aggressive as I think they might like. Oh, but that's a unfortunate stagger for Valpo Shield.
Yeah, they caught Ballsy there trying to get back to the point. It's an unfortunate place for a support to be. Fortunately, they have a res, but now they need to get Ballsy out of danger again because there's really no backup down there. Good play by Sea Dog there, actually, to get Titan out of that. That's basically saved the double support line. Another dragon? Is that what I see? Yeah, sure enough. And they separate off one of the tanks there. I think it was Nona, and do a significant amount of damage.
Gravitic Flux to try to follow it up. With any luck, they got that Immortality Field out. Did not see for sure, to be honest. But I don't see one unleashed after Gravitic Flux. It's going to be the bomb coming in from Nona. The Shatter got blocked, but it didn't matter. The bomb finds both supports and the Sigma to boot.
Well, there's one of the downsides, by the way, of running that Sigma hog kind of front line. You only have the one shield that's kind of a fixed position, doesn't have a very good cooldown time either. So the occasional well-placed Diva Bomb can be incredibly destructive. Zero, by the way, still has their tack visor, as Sea-Dog is just doing the one-man army shtick up there and also conveniently charging Crimson's ults.
Managed to charge one of their own. Is now forcing back the front line of WCU all the way to the first corner. There's a Bob in, excuse me, that was not a Bob, that was a Bruv. And invested in that as well. And we are going to get a little bit of a tactical pause here. I don't see any DCs at the moment. Hopefully WCU aren't losing one of the 3 players with an ultimate. Okay, it looks like the Ash froze from what we're seeing on the screen here. So that's a touch unfortunate. But hopefully they don't lose the 73% ult charge, because that would be downright disastrous.
That would be super unfortunate, considering that they need all the help they can get right here. Their ult advantage is already ticking up by 3. I mean, you still have Zero's tack visor. You've got Loose Goose with the sound barrier, and Majarshian right there holding onto the amplification matrix. At any point in time, if you coordinate this right, you have more than enough moving pieces here to win this out. But I'm really worried about how much chaos Bruv is going to cause on this Doomfist. There doesn't really seem to be anything on the side of WCU Crimson that can really adequately deal with this. And if Bruv is a good Doomfist player, he's basically got a free feeding trough that's just been laid out for him.
This arrow's got to keep a close eye. And if she ever unleashes this tack visor, there you go. He manages to take Bruv down. And the tack visor does eventually come out. Not going to combine it with the amplification matrix, but hey, that gives you some momentum. There's some room to work. Putting some shots down on Wistful, but Kinetic Grass keeping them alive in the moment. Give me a +3 right now to WCU Crimson. They've got all the tools they need to pick up the second point.
Yeah, they should be able to get this. The Diva Bomb maybe a little bit too much there at the end, but it's definitely cleared them enough space. They move into this with 2 minutes 44 seconds. Dirt Wolf now coming back in, or Dirty Wolf coming back in with attack visor of their own, actually managing to secure a couple of kills there. That's all very unfortunate, because that's going to allow Bruv to kind of set up in a sort of probably classic Doomfist ambush position. No, actually, they're just going to use that attack visor and just seed this ground, which I guess makes sense considering where those spawns will be coming back from.
I think Western Colorado kind of dodged a bullet there, because the bulk of their forces had moved all the way back out into the streets, and they still had spawners coming in that Valpo's shield could have punished. But we'll get a more traditional fight on this corner with ults available on both sides. The Gravitic Flux coming out from the defense is countered by Loose Goose's sound barrier. Now the big Omnic Butler is thrown into the mix, kind of far behind the play. Looks like TA Dead Knight took a lot of damage, but did manage to escape death momentarily.
Yeah, we haven't had a lot to say about Dead Knight, but he's getting a little bit of action there. Not the kind that he wanted. Instead, it's Sea-Dog and the rest of the team that are cleaning up. Dead Knight Gare getting the final kill on Majarshian. Something I just wanted to note here on the WCU Crimson side is Loose Goose, who's playing the Lucio, has been using the heal an awful lot. And realistically, in a composition where you have a Baptiste in your pocket like that, you should basically be on speed 90% of the time, because the healing that's coming out of the Baptiste should be enough to really carry you through. So a little misuse of utility there, and that is scary. And that is the end result of something that terrifying.
Yes, sir. That is exactly the end result of not utilizing the speed to the best of your ability either. I mean, it's the only character in the game that can provide a speed boost to your entire team. And I think that is an extremely good point, as we saw Bruv punish the slow-moving bulk, bunched up composition just going through tight spaces.
They're denying themselves a very valuable asset, and I mean, the healing is helping him charge the ult pretty efficiently. I mean, he's nearly back at another sound barrier here, but there are a number of times throughout these fights where a good, well-placed speed boost would absolutely help this comp engage.
No. Self-destruct finds TA Dead Knight, taking the Transcendence off the table with it. Sea-Dog is going to try to hold the line with an ult of their own, and kills still come through, bringing it back. Valpo's shield, even without a Transcendence, without a Discord Ord, are winning this fight.
That's one of those hooks right there that just makes you kind of look at the game and be like, how? You know,
Yeah.
all those bodies in between them, and somehow it was Baptiste who got stuck. And Zero, no, that's just a frustration play. You got to hold on to that, coordinate with your team. They're pushing on now, but they're coming in piecemeal. They're just getting cut apart.
Yeah, damn, Matrix not going to be enough. You got Dirty Wolf on the flank, and this is just clean up from here. Vapo's shield will hold the line and take the lead in our series, moving up to match point.
Not a flattering finish there for WCU Crimson, unfortunately. I think that there are a couple of things that, again, this is a good thing about NECC. This is something that I really like about this. This is a great opportunity to learn and a great opportunity to go, grow as a player. And in the spirit of that, I think there's a couple of things that are worth pointing out. One is just kind of, you learning how to get the best value out of your utilities is something that is really important for success in Overwatch. And that's the key example, right, is Loose Goose on the Lucio. That's one where you get the speed on. Baptiste does so much healing. A good Baptiste player will keep that team alive, and you just zip wherever you need to and close on engages. The other thing is just coordinating their ults a little bit better, which is a problem that they had on Busan as well. It translated over to Blizzard World, and it cost them in a couple of critical fights.
And to add one more to that list of things that they could possibly improve on, I'd be looking at their pathing as well.
Mhm.
Something that we saw play a huge part in the attack on point A. When they had so many options they could have gone with to pounce on the Ana that was separated. Ball Z was away from the pack, but the pathing they just kind of tried to go up the gut with it. Didn't even make it off of Griffin and off of that high ground on that right hand side from the attacker's point of view. The pathing is so important. Any Reinhardt, your Reinhardt Lucio, how you choose to approach the enemy is half the battle right there.
Yep.
So another thing we'll be keeping an eye on as we move through. I believe we are going to throw to a quick intermission here before we head into map number 3. When we come back, it'll be Dorado. We'll see you here with more NECC in just a moment. Well, the Mountaineers from Gunnison, Colorado have their work cut out for them if they want to bring this one back. It's going to take them winning 3 maps in a row. And man, Blizzard World was pretty one sided. They struggled on that one a bit, Corbeck.
Yeah, you could say that they have a mountain to climb if they want to get back into this. Can't resist it, to be fair. But yeah, I'm a little surprised about Blizzard World coming out of Busan, and I'm pretty sure I said this. I thought those teams were relatively evenly matched. It didn't look like there was much of a difference between the two of them. But man, on Blizzard World, Valpo Shield were on a whole different kind of level, right? Those super aggressive attack where they just didn't let Crimson have any room to breathe at all. And then you transition into an attack from Crimson that was just sort of slapdash, a lot of kind of desperation plays, bad pathing, kind of incorrect ult usage. It certainly wasn't their finest hour, but maybe it's something they can bounce back on here as we look ahead to Dorado.
We will have a substitution coming into Dorado. So we'll have Bronya coming in for TA Dead Knight. So we saw Bruv come in and make a huge impact with the Pharah and the Hanzo. Now we got Bronya coming in the flex support role and trying to have equal impact. On this side of Valparaiso, I want to highlight Wistful. Wistful, the newcomer to this squad. Everybody else returning from the fall season. But Wistful's been doing a bang-up job in this main tank role.
Yeah, really, it hasn't been a noticeable problem at all, which is good, right? You're not noticing it. That's good. That means that it's clicking. I'm actually a little surprised here, Bulls. If I was sitting in the camp of Valpo right now, I would go ahead and bring Pharah. Bring them back. Like they were getting so much value out of that Pharah. WCU Crimson has literally nothing that could counteract it. Maybe the Hanzo, right? If you're having a bad day, fly Diva at him. Not a particularly elegant strategy by any sense of the word. But they've chosen to go with the Junkrat instead. So we'll see how effective that is, and maybe they'll switch it up. Already, though, the Junkrat mines having a little bit of a kick to them.
Yeah, enough to build up 24% towards that ult right out of the gate. Ooh, a good trade. I think, honestly, you take that if you're Valpo Shield. That Wrecking Ball's gonna get back into this fight real fast. Valpo have already claimed the high ground and have forced WCU into the courtyard area.
You know who would be a really good pick right here? Instead of a Junkrat? Pharah, because you're basically using Junkrat at this point in time like you're using a Pharah. So why not let that loose? Regardless, this is good play from Titan. Get into the back line, start causing some havoc, try and buy time for your team to regroup, but unfortunately it's just not working. Zaro is down, Mr. Mango goes down, and they might just have punched their ticket through point number 2 here.
And with lots of time to boot, that's going to be over 5 minutes on the clock. There's the cap, there's the added time. And Valpo Shield, well, do lose a couple overextending a little bit, but they'll have some ults for this next fight.
Yeah, no to getting the kill on Bruv right there, but that's not a loss they, feel particularly bad about, especially because Bruv can re-engage so quickly. Now, if they lost, well, that's a really good pick early on, actually, taking down the Moira in the back line to start things off.
Yeah, and this is going to buy time for Nona to take that long walk back and perhaps even an advantage. You have Dirty Wolf, who's holding on the high ground, is going to work around to this right flank. Put a little bit of pressure onto Titan before, I think, moving on, trying to circle around. Got a couple of DPS from WCU sitting on the high ground, but here comes Wistful with the Gravitic Fox, slams down Loose Goose, and is looking for more. Mr. Mango stuck around way too long up there, ends up getting sniped as Dirty Wolf had worked their way around onto the high ground as well. And now Valpo Shield have full line of sight all the way to the back of the point.
Wrecking Ball player's dream right there, just being able to knock your opponents back into the minefield that you've already established, and admittedly kind of established in a bit of a weird spot. WCU Crimson kind of looking like they did on Blizzard World, where they're just reeling right now, but they will go in for one last desperate recontest here if they can get a touch.
They're running into this tire. A good use of the take a breather and the damage resistance that it brings you keeps Nona alive. But Rev just follows it up with well-placed mines, and this is a cap already. They're moving into the power plant, and they have all the tools they need to just keep this cart rolling. Valpo Shield have been unstoppable on Dorado so far.
Yeah, there's been nothing to slow him down. That's the first solid hook that Nona has landed this entire time. Backing up here, Zero has the dragons, but they need to coordinate it, and that's not how they want to start it. A nice headshot there from Dirty Wolf to put down their opposite number on the DPS.
Dirty, that was just downright.
Uh-oh, might have lost Bullskunk right there, but the fight carries on. Largely in his name right now, as Bruff going to work here in a confined space. You can't ask for much better if you're a Junkrat. Good use of the whole hog right there to keep things alive. Here come the Dragon sailing across as well. Titan, dead, and Nona not far behind him. Zero goes the same way. The Invisible Coalition's coming out there to burn its way through. A Nano Boost is invested, a Nano Boosted Moira. You don't see that very often, but both healing and trying to damage at the same time, as Mr. Mango actually does manage to move forward here and get a good kill. Unfortunately, his joyous shout of celebration is rather short-lived, as he's taken down almost immediately, but enough time has been bought here for the two tanks to reassert themselves on the point.
Oh, sorry about that. The Goblins attacked my internet. Thank you for the cover there, quarterback. Looks like WCU finally able to plant their feet here, huh?
Does seem to be that way, and it looks like they might just show their guest out the door, at least for the briefest of moments.
Oh, another good headshot there from Dirty Wolf. Once again onto Zero. But a good shot at it. Ooh, Nona. Just way too much damage. The sniper shot's just chunking them down. Now mine's in the back, courtesy of Sea-Dog, and a Tiger picks up two. It is Bruv who will escort the team home with a monstrous time bank. 3:29 left. All 3 points on the board. Valpo Shield just got a hold, and they will take this series 3-0.
Great tire play there by Bruv. I still do think up until that last stage, Junkrat may be a suboptimal pick, but it didn't really matter at the end of the day. Bruv has been a huge impact player since they brought him off the bench, has just been absolutely dominating. And you know what? Credit to Dirty Wolf as well on the Widowmaker, getting some really impactful picks when they were needed. You almost felt like the members of Crimson tried to keep kind of peeking Dirty Wolf, and to a certain point in time, you have to ask yourself, like, why are you doing that, right? Like, just stay down behind the wall. Like, this sniper is clearly oppressing you. But they continue to kind of go for it. Hard to say, if I'm honest, Bullskunk, what I would do if I was in WCU Crimson's feet. I mean, I've been in their feet before in, similar Overwatch matches. It's hard to regroup after a defense like that, but you just kind of have to put one foot forward in front of the other, and you have to focus on the basics. You got to focus on calling targets. You got to focus on moving together as a unit, and you got to focus on ult usage. And if you can kind of keep that pyramid alive, you can maybe right this ship.
There's a long way to go in that regard, and it's all going to start here. But one foot in front of the other, like you said, that's the only way to do it. Take it one team fight at a time. That's going to get you points on the board. Going to lead to a map win. Decent hook to start things off. Whistle is able to get that personal barrier up, but Valpo Shield losing other members along the way, and WCU off to a good start.
Yeah, Valpo Shield biting off a little bit more than they could chew right there. Kind of stuck their hand in the lion's mouth with that close hold and got it bit off by Crimson, who are more than happy to take that small advantage and push this cart through the streets phase. I don't think anybody's going to be able to challenge them. And Zero, oh, that was a nice shot from Dirty Wolf right there, not allowing the Tracer to get any progress at all.
Oh, and a fat dynamite on top of it. You just see that ult charge just blazing up, already 66%, leading the server right now. And Dirty Wolf has this high ground, dodges a hook, another fat dynamite, and Bob is ready to go. Damage being poured in from above, and now the 7th player on the battlefield as the big Omnic Butler comes in to just demolish the ranks of WCU Crimson.
Well, the crazy part about that was that Dirty Wolf 22 basically single-handedly staved off the entirety of the WCU Crimson line. Just held that high ground position, got kills, bought enough time for the team to get back in, and then threw the bomb at the tail end to make sure that it all worked out.
And now it's given time for Valpo Shield to get other ultimates up, like this Graviton Surge. That's a pretty darn huge grab. Immortality Field up temporarily in the whole hog, keeping everybody at bay. But you forced out a lot of cooldowns. Ooh, that was a perfectly timed Fire Strike through the Ant Matrix. The Windscar gets one, but nobody has dealt with Dirty Wolf. Not on the attack for Valpo, and not yet on their defense.
Yeah, the Graviton Surge there was an interesting choice. I don't think they particularly needed to throw it at that stage. And oh my gosh, Nona nearly died right there. Somehow still manages to make it away from that. But remember, as a Roadhog player, you are giving them ult charge every time you get in those little tets where they take about 3/4 of your health and your team has to save your life. Now some swaps coming in. Nona going over to the Diva, which will kind of reset ult charge. Not that it mattered all too much considering they had recently used the whole hog. They have to use this ult bank to their advantage. They have a Nano Reinhardt, they have a Shatter, and importantly, they have the Nano Visor as well if they choose to use it. All really good tools here, Bull Skunk. It just takes one well-executed combo to win. That's all you need to get out of this.
Unfortunately, they don't even get in position. They start like they're going to rotate and end up kind of just stuck in this small room. They needed to get up to that high ground. I mean, I thought they were going to go try to displace Dirty Wolf, considering all the work they've been getting done already on a second Bob, just holding that for the right moment. And WCU Crimson just kind of got caught in indecision.
Yep. To quote the great game Sekiro, and I think I'm getting it right, hesitation is defeat, but they push in now, and Bob decides that he's going to drop in and say hi.
And there's a rally coming out from Ball Z. Everybody armored up. Valpo Shield getting aggressive. Z-Dog with an Earth Shadow. Oh, it's a Graviton Surge right at the door. You gonna hammer him into it? Yes, it does! What a play! Z-Dog goes up for the up-close and personal hammer, utilizing that 200 points of damage that we recently saw added to Earth Shatter.
Brutal. Nothing more to be said about it. Brutal.
That was awesome.
You don't even need to do it. That's the thing. You didn't really need to do it, but you did it anyway. And it's as much of a mental shatter as it is an actual physical in-game shatter. And Bruv's about to add more pain on top of this pain sandwich because here comes the Death Blossom, and he's actually annihilated. That's funny.
Yeah, nice defense matrix and a great sleep. But Mr. Mango is there now to retaliate, trying to hold off. And this is Mr. Mango with the amplified attack visor that was double damage with the auto aim. Something I think that we were looking for a little bit more in our previous fight. But, Mr. Mango comes through, being promoted up from the B team and finally getting this cart rolling through point A of Dorado. But they're in overtime, Corbeck.
Yeah, this is do or die time. Quite literally, you have to complete here. They've got a couple members of the team coming in piecemeal, which might help them out, but not if they lose Nona early.
Oh, that's the second one for Bro. Bro picks up 2 top priority picks before finally going down. Self-destruct out from Nona, hoping to buy enough space to get through. Sea-Dog, desperation. Shatter just goes into a shield. There are bio, nothing they could do there. Still some straggling members of Valpo Shield trying to fight this thing out. You even have a rally being invested here from Ball Z, moving in, holding them off as... reinforcements have been dwindled from both sides. Wistful is back. Has a Graviton Surge in. That is monstrous. Dirty Wolf is going to get the final blows on that. And Valpo Shield have just stuffed them right here on the back of point A. A decisive victory that was not going in their favor at the start in that engagement. Beautiful plays to bring it back. What a performance from Valpariso.
Yeah, a bit maybe of a misread right there. I think honestly, if I was the Reinhardt in that position, I would have just gone for the charge on the Brig. Just kill her, like as quickly as you can, right? And get that rally out of contention. Speaking of rallies, I mean, it was a good last minute rally there from the WCU Crimson side to push it as close as they did. But basically after the first map, I don't think there was ever a time where Valpo Shield didn't look like they were the superior team and that they were in the driver's seat of that match. They making the right calls on ults. They were putting, the right players in the right places. And this is not to say that they were without error, right? They did not cast the first zone. There were plenty of issues that they needed to work on, and a couple
Certainly.
of ults I can think of where I was like, I don't know, but they just looked the superior team in terms of organization. And I think that was the key decisive factor tonight.
They say a picture can say 1,000 words. Well, that play of the game we saw with the Grav and the Shatter, that pretty much just embodies this entire series, I'm afraid, particularly the last 2 maps. Busan was relatively close. Blizzard World Dorado, not so much. Decisive victory for Valpo Shield and a great start to their spring season here in NECC Collegiate Overwatch.
Totally agree 100%. This is a great, just like morale booster of a match. You come out the front door, your first game of the season, you absolutely, shellac the other team, and you show that you've got some talent to draw on here as well and some good plays to be made. So a very good, solid performance from them. And then if you're on the side of WCU Crimson, it happens. There are bad games. There are bad days. Pick yourself up, learn what you can, and push forward onto the next match, because that's the only thing that you can really do. Just keep pushing forward.
Look forward to week 2. And that's what we're doing here. As that concludes our Overwatch matches for the day. Do appreciate everybody hanging out with us and enjoying some fantastic collegiate Overwatch. It's been an absolute pleasure and a blast to get to bring these games to you here today. Be sure and follow NECC on Twitter. There's plenty of other games going on. Otherwise, we'll be back here next week for more Overwatch. Look out for each other in game and out. And we'll see you next week.